Hello and welcome to my video. I'm so happy you're here today. We are going to make some really fun collage paper on jelly paper with my jelly plate. Say that 10 times fast. So today we are going to experiment, and I just want to say that a big part of making these prints with your jelly plate is to figure out what exactly you want to make them for. I know a lot of people print them on regular paper. I use deli paper because I use them as collage pieces, so I know I'm going to layer them. So that's just something to keep in mind as you go through this process. Like, why am I making these prints? What am I going to use them for? So as you can see, I started off with a stencil. It's a very easy way to make some great collage pieces. And I just did a very light color, and I'm using a brown deli paper because I like the variation. Next, I'm going in here with a stamp. It's a very simple way to create a paper that can be easily collaged in and layered in without it being super obvious. And that's what I like. I like to create these papers so that they can be a subtle addition to what I'm creating in my mixed media art. So things like this are perfect because the colors aren't really super bright and they can kind of just blend right in. So I did just do that stamp, and now I'm putting another layer on top to try to pull up the rest of that pink kind of color. So it may come up underneath with this. Now I'm using the white on the brown paper to create a little contrast. And you could see that's a fun little pattern to use. And it's still left on the actual plate. So I'm just going to try to pull it up again. A lot of times you can do more than one print if you act quickly and it doesn't dry on the plate. So there's another one. Now moving on to kind of a sea green color with another stencil. Again, just kind of rolling right over the stencil and creating the pattern below on the actual plate. Just getting a quick pull from this. And then there's also the pattern right there. So it's kind of like double whammy. You get two prints for one. And again, it's all a matter of preference. What are you using these for? What do you want to actually put these in? So it's kind of fun to use some objects, sometimes like these leaves, some more stencils, creating a pattern on the actual plate, and then the paper has some options with different objects. So just layering that paint in. And the great thing about layering on a jelly plate is the stencils actually kind of stick to the plate. So having them not move is a great way to get a real clear print. Because a lot of times when I use stencils, it can move and then it gets messy underneath, but the jelly plate is a great way to keep the stencil still. So you can see that faint imprint right there. And the way to pull that up is just to, you can try with another print. You have to be careful putting the paper down because and it made a little print right there. So it is still pretty wet. And then if that doesn't come up, you can always just put another layer of paint down and pull it up that way. So this is just like a honeycomb print. Again, a great way to layer in your pieces. very subtle, and that's what I create these collage papers for. I know a lot of people use brighter colors and they create on some copy paper and they have all these different prints and they do a lot of different layers and it's wonderful. There's so many ways to use this jelly plate. You just have to figure out what way works best for you and what you like. You could see that little print in there. So then I wanted to move on to a little bit of a darker color. I do use a lot of like black accents and I like to collage in some gray or black once in a while to create a little contrast in the piece. Now you could see in the upper left corner, I did do a similar print already. I was recording and I thought I was recording and it didn't record, but I just wanted to show you the difference. So that is a little bit more of an intense print. The other one didn't pick up everything, which I like both. I like a little bit of a abstract look and I like a little bit of a detailed look. So just pulling up more off the plate. And that I love because that is not real defined. So it kind of just gives you a little color maybe in a place that you'll want to put it. And then now I'm putting some white down just to create another layer so that we can actually pull the rest of that black up. Because once it kind of dries on the jelly plate, you have to put another layer down in order to get the rest of the paint up. So I figured I would use white because then the actual white paint might blend into it, create more of an opaque background. So you could barely see my hand through there. So that'll be a good piece to use later. And then just going back to the basic black background. And this I am using a little trick is bubble wrap, which I love to use. This is a great way to create stamping. Just save your old bubble wrap and create that little circular pattern. So just pulling the print off of that, which I love, and then also taking the actual bubble wrap and creating another print with the leftover paint on the bubble wrap. It's kind of like a stamp. So it's a little more subtle, but I like it. You'd be surprised at how useful these little pieces get when you just need a little pop of color or a pattern in a little area. And then pulling up the rest of the black off of the plate. So that's a little bit more of an opaque background. That'll be interesting to use in some areas, maybe just as stripes. And now you could see all the different prints that I made. And this only took, probably around 20 minutes. So it's a great way to create some collage papers. You could just like organize them by color or by shape. And it's a wonderful way to add to your mixed media art and offer a little bit of variation. So I hope you enjoyed this video today. Thank you so much for watching. And